How could a girl who looked so fragile become the center of one of the most disturbing murder cases in recent American history? What really happened to Dee Dee Blanchard, and why did her own daughter help kill her? In June 2015, Police arrived at Springfield, Missouri. Inside la Filespedy, outsidia, communitishiter, Dee Dee Blanchard, advotedment, was found stabilite, Butherulshak, her supposed Litaly, watha peneditosi, was he kidnapped, was headed to 4 years, Dee Dee pantida bic, suffering from leuky, muscular dystrophy, seizures, and cognitive delay. Gipsishid wasbold, herdathweratintin, herbonesbrittle, orsa thought, what wirelakella wait wetherving way, fabricates, or inducelinizin, attention, or control, Dee Dee washer daff, nurse, and wardinalino, gypserocentistic. In fact, Shekold walk, eat solid food, and had your malka vintishin to vintishin. But rapid dintha verborfen, she had no wation tools. Nicholas Gottajon man with the sontabal, enter a gypsa wall. Theron lineromicwing. On June 10, 2015, Nicolasen Terdenbench, while Dee Dee slept, Hestabiter 17 times. Gipsahintha thebatorm, covering her ears. Thekaplaful, days later. Acryptic pastapi d dinardes, that bitches diad. It was gypsy ankles, leaving brecria cumat. Why want the secortal? De doctor suspicinti, went hetru thunderiv, theorad watchendrial, years of medical abies, psychologica manal, and deception expition. Butitwant just a brute. Gipsibly vetchen where washwaother thef. Tower. Freedom was on the furthers. Was gipserosen tentis. Whereas gypsny, ish free. Gypsy was sentenced 10 years in prison fosens degree murder. Nick Olasko diana deich. But hepublicticinti blood kitcular diazi. Fiscas agrippa trent. Millions Google diem. Thelies. Thuigs. The Pink House. Gipsy becca messabu morbu. Formisjid Crickians, Forthosi Skinjaward Wadwade. Didanio netrisiv. How did the community? Was this murder reberent? Could this murder have been prevented? Were there signs that everyone missed? And most haunting of all, what did Gypsy Rose leave behind that no one has talked about? When Gypsy Rose finally spoke, the world stopped listening to Dee Dee. Her voice, once silenced, revealed years of secrets, lies, and control that went deeper than anyone imagined. To the outside world, this home was a beacon of motherly love and resilience. But inside, it was a carefully constructed prison. Gypsy couldn't go to school. She couldn't see a real doctor alone. Dee Dee forged medical records, claimed natural food made Gypsy choke, and convinced charity organizations to donate money, housing, even trips to Disney. How did no doctor see through this? Some did. One pediatric neurologist, Dr. Bernardo Flasterstein, suspected Munchausen by proxy, but his warning never led to an investigation. The system failed her. With no phone, no social life, and no freedom, Gypsy found a world where she could be someone else. The internet. When did Gypsy meet Nicholas Gottajon? Was it love or manipulation? On a Christian dating site, Gypsy met Nicholas Gottajon, a man with autism and a criminal past. Their connection? Instant. Their conversations? Disturbing. They shared fantasies and planned escape. Nicholas became her savior, but at what cost? On June 10, 2015, Nicholas Gottajon arrived at the Blanchard home. Dee Dee was asleep. Gypsy handed him the knife. Nicholas stabbed her, again and again. Gypsy covered her ears in the bathroom, waiting until it was over. Did Gypsy help kill her mother? Was she in the room? Legally, she was an accomplice. Emotionally, she was still a prisoner. When Dee Dee's body was found, the community panicked. They feared Gypsy had been kidnapped or murdered too. But the truth was even more disturbing. Gypsy wasn't dead. She was finally free. In court, Gypsy confessed, calm, honest, heartbreaking gypsy pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. 10 years in prison, Nicholas was sentenced to life. But to the public, Gypsy wasn't a criminal, she was a survivor. Behind bars, Gypsy said she finally felt free, but the story doesn't end there. She said prison was freedom, but when the doors finally opened, the real sentence began. Gypsy Rose Blanchard walked out of prison into a world that couldn't stop watching. While Gypsy sat behind bars, her story exploded across the internet. People didn't just want the facts, they wanted the drama. Gypsy became a cultural obsession. A girl abused, a daughter turned accomplice, a killer who wanted love. But what happened to the real Gypsy Rose? Behind bars, Gypsy started writing letters, journals, statements. She spoke about abuse, regret, healing, and hope. She became an unlikely inspiration. Abuse survivors rallied behind her. Documentarians told her truth. The world began to see Gypsy not just as a killer, but as a victim, reclaiming her power. In 2022, another twist. Gypsy Rose got married while still behind bars. Her husband, Ryan Anderson, a special education teacher, said he fell in love with her. Story. Was it real love? Or just another fantasy in a life full of trauma? Some believed it was healing, others called it manipulation all over again. On December 28, 2023, Gypsy walked free. After 8 years in prison, she stepped into the spotlight, smiling, transformed, but haunted. She gave interviews, she wrote a book, she built a platform, but the internet wasn't kind. Fame became another cage. No matter where she goes, Dee Dee follows. In every comment, every question, every stare, there's one chilling truth. Her mother's grip never fully loosened. Gypsy's freedom didn't erase the past, it amplified it. She became a symbol, but also a warning. Is the Gypsy Rose finally free? Or has she traded one kind of control for another? And what did Dee Dee teach her that she can't unlearn? Freedom doesn't erase trauma, it reveals it. She said she was finally free, but freedom doesn't erase what you've survived. Gypsy Rose Blanchard walked out of prison with the world watching. But is there a darker story still unfolding? Munchausen by proxy doesn't just break the body, it fractures the mind. When a parent is both the source of love and the abuser, the child learns to suppress reality to survive. Gypsy didn't just live under control, she became it. Years of forced illness, fake diagnoses, unnecessary surgeries. She was gaslighted into believing she was dying and then groomed to lie about it. Gypsy's entire identity was scripted. A terminal patient, a helpless child, a forever baby. When she broke free, she didn't just lose her mother, she lost her entire personality. That kind of trauma doesn't heal neatly, and some believe she's still acting, still performing. Soon after her release, cracks began to show. Her marriage unraveled, interviews became more curated. Critics began to wonder, is Gypsy addicted to attention? She grew up learning attention brought rewards from Make-A-Wish to housing. That pattern doesn't disappear overnight. Was Dee Dee the only manipulator? Is it possible that the trauma didn't just damage her, it changed her? Some psychologists argue that Gypsy displays signs of post-traumatic growth, a resilient comeback from unspeakable abuse. Others see narcissistic traits, over-identifying with the victim role, shaping narratives to avoid accountability. Was her story always about survival? Or is it now about spotlight? We still don't know how many doctors ignored the signs. We don't know if Gypsy ever tried to run, or if she just waited to kill. Why didn't she tell anyone? What did she leave out of her confession? One thing's for sure, she knows how to tell a story, and she knows what the world wants to hear. What if the most dangerous thing Dee Dee ever did was teach Gypsy how to lie? And what if the real story hasn't even started yet? Survivors aren't always saints. And some crimes never end. Behind every monster is a home where monsters are made. Dee Dee Blanchard didn't just abuse her daughter, she emerged from a legacy of secrets, silence, and strange disappearances that no one dared question. Born Claudine Piter in 1967, Dee Dee was described as manipulative from an early age. Family members whispered about stolen money, mysterious illnesses, and a string of toxic relationships. Was she ever diagnosed? Did her parents know? Some relatives said she had signs of Munchausen long before Gypsy was born. One of her stepmothers accused her of slowly poisoning her. Nothing ever stuck. Nothing ever went to court. The family shrugged it off. Until it was too late. Rod Blanchard, Gypsy's biological father, left Dee Dee before Gypsy was born. He says he tried to be in Gypsy's life, but Dee Dee always had an excuse. She told me Gypsy was too sick to visit. That she needed oxygen, surgeries, wheelchairs. Believed her. Was Rod negligent or manipulated? Rod sent money. He sent gifts, but he never saw the truth. Not until it was national news. The Blanchards moved into a Habitat for Humanity home. Neighbors brought meals, raised funds, helped with doctor visits. She was the perfect mom. Gypsy was the sweetest girl. We had no idea. But there were red flags. Gypsy standing up when she thought no one was watching. Dee Dee refusing outside medical opinions. No one pushed. No one asked enough questions. At least one doctor suspected Dee Dee was lying. Dr. Flasterstein noted inconsistencies and suspected Munchausen by proxy. He even wrote it in his notes. But no agency investigated. There was no follow-up. There was no file open. A child was being tortured and everyone walked away. Could the state have saved Gypsy? Why didn't intervene? The Blanchard story isn't just about murder, it's about generational trauma. Ignored. Red flags dismissed, and systems that chose convenience over confrontation. Hindsight is always loud. But when Gypsy needed the world to scream, it was silent. The question isn't just what Dee Dee did. The question is, who let her do it for so long? And what else have we missed? Sometimes silence is the loudest accomplice. She was once a prisoner in her own home, then a killer, now a celebrity. Gypsy Rose Blanchard is free, but is she truly healed? Or has she stepped into a new role crafted for the cameras? Days after her release, she wasn't just a free woman, she was a trending topic. Gypsy Rose breaks the internet. Gypsies glow up. From convict to influencer, Gypsy hired a PR team, signed a book deal, teased a reality show. She was on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and everywhere else. People couldn't stop watching. To some, she's an icon of survival. To others, a brand built on blood. Millions of survivors live in silence, but Gypsy was given a spotlight, a platform, voice. What we're seeing is complex. Some of this is healing. Some of this is dangerous self-branding. Is she reclaiming her life, or rewriting the narrative to suit the camera? Gypsy married Ryan Anderson in prison, a fairy tale for the fans. But less than a year later, over. And soon, rumors began swirling. Dating apps, DMs, scripted drama. Was the relationship ever real, or just content? Dee Dee fabricated illness for attention. Gypsy now crafts trauma for applause. We don't know yet if Gypsy's fame is healing or performance. But what we do know is that the patterns she lived under can live on inside her. There are still questions unanswered. Did anyone else enable Dee? Will Gypsy ever reveal everything? And is her current persona the truth or just another mask? In escaping her mother, Gypsy became a symbol. But symbols are crafted, polished, and sold. The world gave her freedom, and she turned it into a franchise. So the final question isn't what Gypsy did to be free, it's what she'll become to stay relevant. There's freedom in truth. But there's power, performance. Gypsy Rose Blanchard. The crime may be over, but the story, still being written. Thank you for following this series. Share your theory in the comments. Subscribe, share, and like for future case deep dives. This story might be closed, but the questions are still wide open.